8:15, everybody, and talk about going the extra mile. Our next guest was diagnosed with breast cancer 4 years ago, but yesterday she crossed the finish line in the New York City Half Marathon. Look at that.
Yeah, Viviana Figueroa says cancer is not a death sentence, and she's joining us this morning to share more of her inspirational journey. And she's also joined by Dr. Elisa Port, the Chief of Breast Surgery for Mount Sinai Health System. So good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Congratulations to you, Viviana.
Awesome.
That's amazing, first of all, just to finish a marathon, but you're no stranger to this. I would spout off your record here on how many you've done, but you tell the folks at home how many marathons you've done, and actually even bigger than that.
Yes, so I've done 9 full marathons.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yesterday was half marathon number 49.
Wow.
And I've also done a 60K, an ultra marathon, 37.3 miles.
That's
incredible.
Incredible. But this was your first time crossing the finish line after beating your cancer diagnosis. So for you to cross that finish line, what was the feeling when you got over the finish line?
It was actually the first New York City half after the finish line. Nothing can really describe the feeling of crossing the finish. Running is where I feel the most alive. Yeah. And the New York City half course definitely made for a nice treat.
It really is not a death sentence, is it?
No, certainly not. You know, Viviana embodies, why we do what we do, and with so much optimism. Breast cancer is the most common cancer to affect women in this country, but the survival rates have never been better. We say overall the survival rates for breast cancer are now upwards of 90%. So there's lots of room for optimism, and people go on and live their full lives.
Yeah, there's some of the stats right there on our screen.
And Viviana is certainly an example of that.
Can you explain a little bit, because we say 58,000 for non-invasive, the difference between non-invasive and
Sure.
invasive?
Overall, we expect about 300,000 new cases of breast cancer diagnosed each year. But among them, about 20%, so about 60,000, are a form of cancer that's called DCIS. That stands for duct carcinoma in situ. That is non-invasive cancer. And the cure rate for that, the kind of cancer that can't spread, is actually approaching 98, 99%.
Wow.
So women who get screened are way more likely to be diagnosed with that. We also call it stage 0. So really good reason to get screened and to get checked, because the more you do that, the more likely you are to have a cancer detected earlier when it's more treatable and more curable.
And Viviana, you were only 41 when you were diagnosed. And what exactly was your diagnosis?
So I was diagnosed stage 2 triple positive, the IDCIS. So I was invasive, and my treatment called for chemotherapy first.
Okay.
And then I opted for a lumpectomy, and they also biopsied some lymph nodes. Thankfully, I had no lymph node involvement. And then I went on to receive radiation.
And this was all during the pandemic.
Yes.
What made you want to go get checked?
So I felt something.
Okay.
I did a self-breast exam. I felt something. I tracked it for 2 months. It wasn't going away, and I immediately called my doctor.
Yeah, and how important is it for people to just go in, if any question at all?
I mean, to go back, mammograms are great, but they're not perfect. They pick up about 85 to 90% of breast cancers, but this is the perfect example for why. If they say, if you see something, say something. If you feel something, say something. And women should know what's normal for their own bodies. Don't listen to anyone who says, don't check yourself, it'll get you, crazy or nervous or whatever. Check yourself, know your body, and thank God she did.
And so what's next for you? You did the half.
I did the half.
Now, what do you want to keep going?
I have registered for the full this year.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And maybe I'll sprinkle in a little triathlon this summer.
Oh,
yes.
You are just going all the way.
All the way.
Okay. Have you done a triathlon before?
I have.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And how much have you talked to your friends, your family, about the importance of checking yourself, about just generally your health?
All the time. It's all over my social media. Almost every conversation I have with a friend. I'm surrounded by friends turning 40. Make sure you schedule that appointment, and because early detection did save my life. Yeah.
And just real quickly, how often for each age group?
Yeah.
Great
should you
question.
Get checked?
Mammograms, we say starting at age 40, as Viviana did. And we say yearly after that. And, you know, there's a big controversy over when to end. I say, as long as if you're 70 and 75 and you're out there playing pickleball and chasing your grandchildren around, don't let anybody tell you you have to stop getting mammograms. You're not healthy enough anymore. Right. So as long as you're healthy, mammograms should continue. And the optimum interval is every year.
Good advice. Thank you, Dr. Port, for all you're doing, Viviana, for sharing your story. And we'll see you next time when you're at the triathlon or the marathon finish line, all right? Good to see you both.
Thank you.